Hi folks, I've mentioned this before in one of my other videos, but I want to reiterate it as a standalone point, and that is that humans under stress have a certain way of moving, and this is shown both in historical sources and also in modern accounts from war and crime as well. So if we take a knife, for example, if someone's being premeditated, usually the blade up and the stab from below, or the straight stab, or the thrust or lunge as it would be with a sword, is kind of the most common thing. If you get people sparring in a calm way where they know they're really not going to get hurt, they instantly start doing this, poking at each other. Okay? That is not generally how people behave under stress. Under stress, most people become like cavemen. And what do cavemen do? Well, we all know that cavemen pick up a stick and swing like they're holding a club. Okay? Now, what happens if you're holding a sword, if you swing it like a club, is you chop. Okay? And this is very commonly mentioned in 19th century sources, where both cavalrymen and infantry officers were trained to thrust, or give point, as they called it. However, in the heat of battle, when they were panicking, when their enemies all around them, or they were overwhelmed, they generally resorted to cutting downwards, okay? And this was very commonly observed. It's observed in many cultures, in many countries, in many periods, that under stress, people with swords generally chop, even if they've been trained a lot to give point to thrust. Now what's interesting is this motion with the sword is exactly what people tend to seem to do most of the time with knives in high stress situations. So whilst in a prison shanking or a gang related thing in the street where someone's sneakily shanking someone and then running away, they might stab from below most of the time, or even if it's from above, tends to be with the point above the hand. Under stress in domestic violence cases, in war where people are using a combat knife or a bayonet, or situations where people are really riled up and there's lots of adrenaline, or panicking or scared, they tend to resort back to this motion, and that is the same motion as cutting with the sword as now stabbing point down with a dagger. And this is one thing that's interesting to note when we look at the medieval treatises that deal with dagger combat, that a lot, maybe 50%, maybe more than 50%, of the attacks are point down. And this is one of the questions, why are so many point down attacks given in medieval sources? This is one possible answer. There are other answers, but this is one possible answer. So it's an interesting thing to note that this is one of the reasons for point down stabbing or point up stabbing. It's not all about what you plan to do, it's sometimes just about what your body naturally wants to do. Thank you.